Good evening. Imagine stepping onto the field on the biggest game of the season, right? You spent months preparing for this game, watching film, and preparing mentally. And then halfway through the game, you tear ACL because you landed incorrectly after a jump. So unfortunately, this happens to thousands of athletes every year, and many of these injuries occur not because athletes lack the talent or the effort, but because they never received the proper education about movement mechanics, recovery, and injury prevention. As an athlete and an exercise science major, I've become fascinated by the science behind athletic performance. Through research, I've learned that many sports injuries are preventable when athletes understand the proper strength training, movement patterns, and recovery strategies. Today, I will argue that high schools and youth sports organizations and athletic programs should be required strength and conditioning education for all student athletes. Specifically, I will show that this policy will reduce injuries and improve athletic performance and promote a lifelong health. So every year, millions of young athletes suffer preventable injuries, and according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, youth sports injuries account for millions of emergency room visits annually. So many athletes assume injuries are just simply part of the sport. While some injuries are unavoidable, many occur because athletes have not been taught the proper movements. Think about something as simple as landing from a jump, right? Research has shown that proper landing techniques can dramatically reduce the risk of serious knee injury, such as the ACL. Yet, many athletes spend countless hours practicing specific skill sets while receiving little to no instruction on how to move safely. Strength and conditioning education would teach how athletes warm up correctly, lift properly, move efficiently, and recover effectively. So these lessons can help reduce injuries before they even happen. And athletes already devote many hours a week to practice, spending even just a small amount of time learning injury prevention could keep an athlete on the field longer versus in the training room longer. So mandatory strength and conditioning education would improve athletic performance because most athletes want the same thing, and it's to be able to perform at their highest level. However, many athletes mistakenly believe that getting better simply means spending more time practicing their specific sport. For example, a basketball player may shoot 100 jump shots, a baseball player may take 1,000 swings, and a football player might spend countless hours on their playbook, right? While skill development matters, performance is also determined by strength, power, speed, mobility, and recovery. So strength and conditioning education teaches athletes how these factors all work together, and it explains why strength and conditioning increases force production, how proper recovery enhances performance, and why sleep is one of the most powerful performance tools available. So consider two athletes with naturally the same ability, but one understands how to train and how to recover properly, while the other does not. So over time, the educated athlete will likely gain a significant advantage because of the knowledge. So mandatory education would ensure that every athlete has access to the knowledge needed to maximize their potential, not just those who can afford private trainers or elite facilities. And this creates a more level playing field and gives all athletes a better opportunity to succeed. So strength and conditioning education would help athletes build healthy habits that last a lifetime. So the benefits of this policy extend far beyond sports. So a vast majority of athletes eventually stop competing. Very few play professionally, yet everyone will live with the consequences of their health choices. So unfortunately, many athletes lose structured physical activity after their playing careers are over. And without an understanding of exercise science, they may struggle to maintain healthy habits. So strength and conditioning education can provide them with the foundation to make lifetime decisions the rest of their lives, basically. So students will learn how exercise affects their body, and how nutrition supports performance, while recovery matters, and how regular physical activity improves lifelong health. So these lessons are just as valuable as they are age 40 to age 18, right? In many ways, athletic programs have responsibility that goes beyond wins and losses, and that they should help prepare students for healthy lives, basically. So teaching athletes how to care for their bodies is one of the most valuable lessons sports can provide today. So some may argue that athletic programs already have limited time and resources. They may believe coaches should focus exclusively on sports skills rather than education. So while this concern is understandable, strength and conditioning education does not require hours of additional practice. So many programs could incorporate short-term instructional sessions into existing workouts, team meetings, or preseason training. And others may argue that coaches already provide this information. The reality is that quality and consistency of instruction varies widely from program to program. A formal educational requirement would ensure that all athletes receive accurate education, evidence-based information, regardless of where they play. So today, I have argued that high schools and athletic organizations should be required strength and conditioning education for all student athletes. We have seen that this policy will reduce injuries, improve performance, and help athletes develop healthy habits for a lifetime. Thank you.